Baltimore Ravens, a lot of Ravens chatter in the chat so far. Where are we going with the Ravens and their biggest needs?
I still think they need cornerback too. I know they made one of those perfect free agent signings. You know, you bring in the guy that just stops you having to go chase the need. You bring in Chidobe Awuzie that stops you having to go chase the guy in the first round and fill the spot that opened up by letting Brandon Stevens walk. It is, however, the stopgap, right? It doesn't mean the need is evaporated. It just means it became less acute. So I would love to see them add cornerback too. I don't know, like, they're always in the sort of wide receiver market, right? I know that, again, they signed DeAndre Hopkins, same idea. Like, he stops you having to go chase it. I'd still love to see them at least add a wide receiver body. Offensive guard, I think you could conceivably upgrade either one of them, if not both. And then I never love Baltimore's edge rushers, but they always just cobble it together by the aggregate and by committee. But if they came out of this like with a first round edge rusher, I wouldn't be like, oh, that doesn't make any sense.
I see you, Drake, calling Marlon Humphrey cornerback 2 or 1 or 2 with him and Nate Wiggins. It's more about a full-time outside guy, with Humphrey being more of the ability to play outside and inside. So another outside type of corner. So I think all of those late first-round corners, right now the consensus board has only 2 corners going in the first, but in the second, it's Ravel, it's Benjamin Morrison, Trey Amos, Maxwell Hairston, Azariah Thomas, Darian Porter, all as second-round options. I think any of those guys could be late first round. Most of those guys are outside type of corners. I think any of those guys are in the mix there for Baltimore. I'm with you on the edge thing too. Like, if we're talking about Howie and the Eagles, if the right guy falls, Bills, if the right guy falls, Ravens too, if the right edge rusher falls and is there late first round, I think that'd be outstanding for them. Are they in the nose tackle market with Travis Jones? He was a second rounder. He's heading into year 4. He's a good player. Are they going to want to pay him the 15? Is he worth 15 to 20 million just as a solid nose tackle in today's NFL? And if they don't want to pay that type of money, do they want to replace him with the Alfred Collins, Deion Walker type?
And they've let a couple of those guys they've lost a couple of those guys in the last couple of years. I mean, Brandon Williams, reached the end of his career. Michael Pierce reached the end of his career. Like, they used to have this collection of like 330-pound bowling ball defensive tackles, and they've lost a couple of them. And then Travis Jones is reaching, the end of his first contract, whether or not they keep him. But if they still value that as like a key piece to that defense, it's a sort of lacking skill set relative to previous years.
And then we could talk about safety with Adarius Washington only back on 1 year. All of the top safeties, Malachi Starks, Nick Emanwari in the mix, Xavier Watts if you want more of a pure free safety. Get the Notre Dame connection. Xavier Watts and Kyle Hamilton, get Notre Dame's back there. Safety could be positioned to take a look at as well. I like the suggestion of Tyleik Williams. I kind of forget him as like the 330-pounder because he's not as tall as some of the. I'm picturing like this draft has the 6'5", 6'6", 6'7" nose tackles. Tyleik Williams still maybe the best run-stopping nose tackle option. Very Ravensy type of player. Like him better in the second than the late first, but also could be a future Raven. All right, let's go Cincinnati Bengals. Biggest needs for the Bengals, and why is it the defensive line?
If it's not the offensive line,
if it's not the
trenches,
both
it's trenches.
Guard and any sort of front. I would even say front 7 playmaker for the Bengals, but yeah, more specifically defensive tackle in the edge.
Yeah, defensive tackle. Edge rusher as well. I mean, you've got the Trey Hendrickson standoff thing. Even with Trey Hendrickson, he's the one edge rusher, pass rusher. It's kind of like a Nick Bosa situation where he's one guy trying to do the whole thing by himself. So the whole defensive line, the interior, the offensive line, like they just need both trenches to be hammered, I think.
We gave them Mullet, Tate Ratledge in the second round, a little bit higher than he's expected to go as of now at the consensus board. Wouldn't hate that, though, as a fit. And then the Walter Nolan, Mike Green picks that the Bengals get quite often in the first round, I do think make a ton of sense for them.
Yeah, I think any of those defensive linemen in that first round range make a ton of sense. I would be interested in safety as well. I know I never loved the Geno Stone signing at the time. It felt like a buy high, slightly fool's gold type of acquisition, and it certainly hasn't worked out yet. Jordan Battle, I feel sort of marginal to me as a starter anyway. I think you could theoretically upgrade either one of those spots. I think they'll rely on the young corners, the combination of Dax Hill, DJ Turner, Cam Taylor-Britt. I don't think that that's a need yet, though it may emerge as one. Defensive line, offensive line.
So I've mentioned Xavier Watts a bunch, but now you got to mention him again because Al Golden was his defensive coordinator at Notre Dame. So if we're gonna keep playing these games, right? We don't do this a ton during draft season. There are some people who play that a lot, which is like this guy coached that guy, and think about all these connections.
And it happens.
I only get there like a little bit, but it is a factor, right? That's what think about free agency. Oh, this guy coached him 3 years ago. That's why he's bringing him in. Harold Landry is being reunited with Mike Vrabel. But Xavier Watts, I think, is legitimately a second-round option for the Bengals at safety, especially given he's just a good, dependable, in the right place at the right time safety. And that's maybe what the Bengals have really been missing these last couple of years.
Yeah. No, that makes sense.
All right, we gave them some options, a lot of the same ones we've talked about previously. Let's go Cleveland Browns, their biggest needs here.
I mean, quarterback. The people are reporting like, it's believed that Deshaun Watson's played his last snap as a Brown, as if that's news, like as if that wasn't true for a long time already. Kenny Pickett is not an answer at quarterback. They need a quarterback, whether or not it's Shedeur Sanders at the top of this draft. I think they need wide receiver 1 as well. They need defensive tackle help. Like, they need quite a lot.
Let me throw this out there, Sam. The Browns show that you and I do every now and again, there was a quote they played a quote from Andrew Berry that said, the QB room will, quote, skew young this year, end quote.
Okay.
So I read into that. I read deep into that. I'm going to assume that if they pass on Shedeur Sanders, the Browns, who are very analytically inclined, one of the biggest analytics teams in the NFL, if not the biggest, could they, in a world where there's 4 through 8, these QBs are all developmental options, could they go 2 of them? Is this a world? Could they go Abdul Carter 1, first-round pick, and then pick your 2 favorite? They go Dylan Gabriel and Will Howard or whatever. They go 2 quarterbacks because if it's going to skew young, it's those 2 rookies and Kenny Pickett. Here, fight for it.
All right, that's enough of that, Steve. Over 50% of the people listening to this are not subscribed right now. So click that button, and then we can get back to whatever it is Steve's telling you about. An IR. So Deshaun Watson to IR, and then have 2 rookies and Kenny Pickett.
Yes. Watson. I mean, Watson's out. He may have played his last snap in the NFL, right? I mean, nobody's going out of their way to go get Deshaun Watson. The only thing that he could do is if the Browns try to salvage him. It sounds like that's done. So
no. I mean, the thing with Deshaun Watson is not will he play or not. It's like, are you stuck carrying him as a roster spot? I assume, given he hurt his Achilles again, you have a fairly easy runway to just throw him on IR and forget about him.
Yeah, and you bought the insurance and just move on. If they're not sold on Shedeur Sanders, is this Kyle McCord and Jalen Milroe, right? Pick your favorite 2 developmental quarterbacks. I'm throwing that out there as an option for the Browns. I might throw it into the Twitter ether and see what people think. 2 developmental quarterbacks going to Cleveland, baby. I might even consider that. You get your blue chip Abdul Carter, and then mystery box it, baby. Let's go.
Yeah, I mean, if you don't think that Sanders is the guy, right? Like, to me, Shedeur Sanders is a potential out from this horrible situation that they put themselves in, right? This Deshaun Watson nightmare. You have a potential lottery ticket out of that by getting the number 2 overall pick and being in a position to draft a quarterback. If you've looked at the tape and you just don't think Sanders is that guy, you think the tools are too marginal, the concerning level of behavior under pressure / taking sacks, like, we just don't believe it. Okay. Then I think you're right. Like, the next solution has to be, we still need, the only way out of this is still to find a dirt cheap quarterback. So let's go get a couple of them and hope one of them is the guy. That makes sense.
All right, let's fill the spots. You give your 2 quarterbacks. I'll give my 2. Who are the 2 developmental quarterbacks the Browns could add in this particular scenario? Abdul Carter at 2, and then 2 quarterbacks at somewhere later in the draft. Who you got?
Does either of them have to start?
No, it's just who do you want to – which 2 mystery boxes do you want to maybe bring in and eventually they become good? Who are your 2 guys in this draft class?
But that's the thing. So Kenny Pickett is starting. Is that what we're saying?
Yeah, but one of these guys could steal the job.
All right. Dylan Gabriel and
Don't pick the same ones as me.
Dylan Gabriel and Will Howard.
Oh, the local legend, right? Just led the Buckeyes to the title. I was considering that. I'll go Dylan Gabriel and Kyle McCord. Give me those two guys. Give me the two big arms guys, different sizes, two big arms. Dylan Gabriel, Kyle McCord.
Are you a lot of Browns fans or a lot of Browns places will connect them with Tyler Shuck from Louisville? Are you out on him the second you saw that play where you just like, woo?
Yes. I think that is if you haven't seen the Tyler Shuck play, he panics under pressure. And as JT O'Sullivan, our friend JT said, is that fake? Like he thought this was AI generated.
It's such a crazy throw that it genuinely looks like somebody has faked it. Like it's panicking in a way I don't know that I've ever seen before. I have seen quarterbacks do crazy things under pressure. And for example, it's not necessarily like there's a play that Brock Purdy had at Iowa State where he like does a Kirk Cousins and like launches it backwards out of pressure. Like I've seen crazy things before. I have never seen anything like this. Nothing ever.
It was bad. It was Will Levis is watching this being like, come on, man, that's a bad decision. Can't be doing that.
Genuinely, what it looked like was someone had been pulled out of the crowd, put in at quarterback, and it was like the first time they'd ever encountered a 300-pound running human headed towards them, and they just went like, launched the like hot potato, just threw it away, underarm towards nothing.
Anyway, I liked a lot of other Tyler Shuck film. It might be like one play and you're out on him. Anyway, we've given some fun options for the Cleveland Browns. There's some other needs as well, but we figured out quarterback. All right, let's go Pittsburgh Steelers. Biggest needs. We got 5 more teams here, Sam. We're making good time. Here. Let's go, baby.
Well, they desperately need a quarterback right now. Is that Aaron Rodgers? Are we assuming that's QB taken care of?
I'm going to assume Aaron Rodgers is there, and then we're talking developmental guy. I'm going to assume we're out on, hey, they're drafting Jackson Dart in the first, and he's going to be their starter right away. But who the heck knows?
Yeah, I mean, so if you're bringing in Aaron Rodgers, I do think you're probably out of that certainly early quarterback market. You're in the more like Rams market of like the future, which you may or may not care about later in the draft. I think they probably need a left tackle. Well, starting tackle. Pick your side. I think Broderick Jones needs to be removed from the lineup. Is effectively what I'm saying.
They're not going to give up on their first round pick. No,
it's been a while.
In year 3, he's going to head into year 3.
Yeah,
no. Fautano
You're telling me a liability in year 3 is too soon to give up on him?
He's not much worse than what Dan Moore was through 2 years, and they were plugging him in for 4 straight, and he got better.
I don't think that's true. I think he's significantly worse than Dan Jones. He's significantly worse than Dan Moore was outside of playing Myles Garrett.
I don't know. I mean, there's some ugly on there from Broderick Jones, but I think he's the starting right tackle. Fautano will play left tackle. That was the plan last year. I don't see that as a need. I think receiver.
I think that's a pretty clear need. Like Fautano, you would assume plays one and hopefully plays well. Broderick Jones at this point is a liability, particularly if Aaron Rodgers is your quarterback.
Maybe they should put Broderick back to the left side just to see if that's better. But I think receiver, just because I don't think we know what's going to happen with George Pickens, and even if we do, he's in the last year of his deal. I don't know if you want to. I don't know how him and DK are going to last long term. I don't know how Pickens is going to last long term. So I think receiver, very much a need for the Steelers.
Yeah, I mean, certainly as a long term plan. Roman Wilson is obviously the X factor there. Basically, didn't see him year 1. Like he was a guy a lot of people liked at draft time. We don't know what he's going to be yet, if anything. So, but that's a potential factor there. I also think they need a running back. They got rid of Najee Harris in free agency. I don't think you want Jalen Warren being a bell cow. The rest of those running backs, Kenneth Gainwell, Cordero Patterson at like 182 years old. Like, I think they, in this draft amongst or above all others, I think you would love to just grab a running back in the mid round somewhere.
They're actually one of the biggest running back needy teams, I would think. I mean, they could just roll with Jalen Warren the same way the Cowboys rolled with Rico Dowdle when they felt like they had a need. But I expect the Steelers to take a running back, yes.
Who do you want to put there? Because there's one.
Scatterboo.
Yes.
Of course. Scatterboo's a Steeler. He's a Steeler.
Is there a more hard-nosed, black and blue Pittsburgh Steelers working class hero than Scatterboo?
They don't have a need there, but if they could get, if any team could just get Tyler Warren in the first, Besh in the second, Scadaboo in the third, man, that's it. Your physicality through the roof. I did it again. I did it 2 straight shows. Anyway, Scadaboo, future Steeler. That's the guy. That's the guy for them. Or Damian Martinez. I don't know. We could give him some other bruiser type just to balance it out.
Fair weather guy. Miami. Can't go.
Best developed.
Pittsburgh.
They've been linked to Milroe quite a bit. And as we've mentioned with the Steelers before, when they're linked to someone, it's usually not a bluff. There's usually just intel coming out. I could see them bringing in Milroe as the developmental quarterback option. And I would like that. I think that'd be a solid 3rd round pick if that's where they would want to go. Remember, they don't have
generally I'm intrigued by Milroe as an option anywhere. Like I'm kind of talk myself into his upside.
Yeah. Not having a 2 hurts their ability to maybe use one on a developmental option. Maybe you don't want to in this draft, but I still think that's very much in play for them.
Thanks for watching all the way to the end of our video.
For more great content, click here to subscribe and here to watch another video. We'll see you again soon.